Welcome to the video. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you're curious about learning how to play the horn or teaching others the fundamentals of how to play the horn. This video is going to be structured in 4 different parts, and I'm going to leave timestamps in the description down below. This video is not going to go in great detail on each subject, but it's rather going to be a brief overview. In later videos, I will be posting more in-depth content on more specific items. The first video I'm planning to do after this one is why do horn players miss notes? And it's going to be based around the natural harmonic series and how that works against horn players, especially young ones. So in this section, we're going to go over how do you hold the horn? Where do you sit on the chair? Do you play on the knee or do you play off the knee? Is your hand positioning? Are you up here or down here? And why do we even do that? And then we're going to go over a brief overview on how everything should look when you're sitting. So first things first on how to properly sit is make sure that the students have a proper airflow and it's still comfortable. While it's not recommended that students are leaning back, lounging, and just slouching like this, it's also generally not a great idea to have your students be on the very edge of their seat. It's just not great, especially if the horn player decides they want to go onto the knee. What is most important is that the horn player has plenty of room and has a non-restricted airflow. So why do some players play on the knee and why do some players play off? Well, for most players, it's all about comfort and how they sound when they play. I'm not a scientist, but I think most people tend to play best when they're comfortable. Most young students, especially if they're really small, tend to play on the knee because the horn is heavy and if holding it up like this can hurt the knuckles and hurt the wrist, especially when they're young and undeveloped. Most professionals though tend to play off the knee because it helps their airflow, but it's really just down to personal preference. If you do have a student that wants to play on the knee though, make sure that the horn is coming to them, that the lead pipe, which is this in the mouthpiece, is coming to them rather than the other way around. One trick that can help this is that the student props their leg or their foot onto the leg of the chair and brings the horn to them, and then they can adjust from there. So you see for me, the horn is coming straight to my face and I'm not leaning forward to go to the horn. If I'm having to go forward to the horn, it's going to mess up my airflow and you're just not going to have as good of a sound. If you have a horn player who wants to go off the knee, make sure that they're bringing the horn to them and they're not slouching. A lot of kids will try to cheat and use their leg and go to their horn because it's just not comfortable. Do whatever is best for that student and just kind of listen to them on what feels the best because comfort is key and then whatever is working with their airflow. So why do horn players shove our hands into our bells? It's a question as old as time and it gets asked by just about everybody. But the easy answer is tuning. If you just leave your hand outside the bell, it's going to be significantly sharper than if you put your hands to the bell. But a common issue is whenever kids put their hands into their bells, they want to put it too far because they think they have to cover it, and it leads to a little sound we like to call stopped horn, which makes the pitch one whole half step higher. So where do you put your hand in the bell to keep from getting, but also not just having it completely out? Well, there are 2 options. One is have your knuckles on top of the bell, your hand like you're holding an egg, and you go on top of the bell. This will get this sound. The other option is having the hand underneath the bell like this, which is really only possible if you play on the knee. I personally do not like the way this sounds because the way the bell works, the sound is going to be going into your hand and into your arm and into your body. The sound is going to deflect directly into you as opposed to like this where the sound is going to go directly behind you and hopefully bounce off the wall so the sound can go from the horn player to the wall to the audience. So just to give a brief rundown of how the body should look, the horn player should be comfortable. I usually sit in the middle of the seat, and depending on if your kid wants to go on the knee, put the leg up so the mouthpiece comes straight to their face, and they're off the knee, same thing. Just have the mouthpiece and the lead pop go straight to their face. Find the way that you want the horn section to sound, or how the horn player wants to sound, whether it is like this or like this. So for me, I am like this. I have my knuckles on top of the horn and the mouthpiece coming straight to my face. And when I play, it is a nice, calm, relaxed sound. So where do I even start? Well, this one's kind of hard. If you want to start with starting pitches or ranges, the horn's a little weird. The easiest starting pitch for the horn will probably be middle C or concert F. But this pitch tends to be a little bit low for most starting players. It's a little bit lower than what they're used to. Because of where the pitch starts on a harmonic series, first bass F, concert B flat, it's not an easy place to start because of how close notes are together. But the range is fairly easy and comfortable on the face. Really, this is all up to the teacher and what note you want to start with. One thing to be wary of, though, is that in a lot of books, and most method books that you're going to be working with the entire band, the horns will be playing a fifth off of the rest of the band because of the range of the instrument and how close those notes are going to be together. So the horn players, they're not going to be comfortable with it, but they're going to need to learn to be comfortable with being heard and standing out because they are probably going to be playing different pitches than the rest of the band. So why do horn players miss notes? Well, most of the answer is the natural harmonic series and where most music for horn sits in that series. The bracketed section that you're seeing on the screen is where most music sits for horn. The highlighted sections that you saw and are going to see are primarily what you could see, but it's not as common in most music, especially in the middle school, the high school ranges. So that's a lot of notes, and remember, that is just one fingering. The harmonic series that I put onto the screen is only open if I were not to press down any triggers or any fingerings at all. That's how many notes that you can accidentally play. On the other hand, you have this trumpet harmonic series, and what's in bracketed is what you are most likely to see. What's highlighted, just like the other one, is what you could see but not as common, and that X is because that note really doesn't exist. So as you see from both series, they're vastly different. The horn has so many more notes that it can hit, and by the way that it is, you have a whole lot more notes that you can miss. To show you how frustrating it can be, I'm going to play all the notes open and on the what is considered the playable range, or that bracketed section. As you see, that's a lot of notes I can just play just open. Now, some of those were out of tune. If you have perfect pitch, you probably heard that. And on that overtone series, the minus means that it is going to be flat, and that plus means that it's going to be sharp. But when you see all those notes, that applies for every single combination of fingering. I mean, and then when you add in this thumb, you're roughly playing on 9 different overtone series, which is a lot, and your horn players are going to be finding out so many different notes. And you're probably going to be sitting in rehearsal thinking, why is this out of tune? Why are the horns out of tune? Why are the horns missing notes? Because everything is so close together, especially in the most common playable range. So it's going to be really important that you're listening to tuning, the timbre, and really what is practical for the horns. Your players are going to come up with some funky fingerings, and they're the right notes, but some of them might be as much as 41 cents flat. That's basically a whole different note. So I would pay special attention to this, also because if you are not lucky enough to have a double horn, which a double horn is anything that has this little trigger, if you have a single horn, most fingerings are going to be just about exactly the same as the trumpets. And so you're going to have a lot of horn players who are going to start playing trumpet fingerings because they see their trumpet friends doing it. And it's the same note, it's the same fingering. Why can't I play that way? Well, timbre is different, tuning is different, and sometimes it's just harder on the fingers. So there's a lot of things to look out for, but I will go fully into this discussion and what fingering should you use on these different scales in a different video, which is going to be the next one on why horn players miss notes. So this is probably the most important part of the video to me. This is one of those that you're just going to need to help your horn players in their mental mindset. Acknowledge that the horn is hard. Don't let the kids be negative. Everybody struggles with horn. The kid doesn't suck. I promise the student doesn't suck. And don't let them tell themselves that. Let them know that it's hard. And it's okay that they're not playing certain passages as quickly as their friends who are maybe playing trombone or tuba or trumpets. They don't suck. It's easy for those kids to think, I suck because I can't play it. And it's easy to compare yourself when you have friends who can. But you just have to remind them that the horn is hard and you have a lot more going against you as a horn player. So I would just let them know that. And if you see them get down on themselves and say, I suck, I'm terrible, I'm quitting, just let them know that it's hard, and that's okay for them to know that it's hard. Don't try to keep it a secret because they'll figure it out on their own. So just let them know that it's okay and that it's going to click eventually. So thank you guys for watching. Watch out for more videos revolving around the horn, my journey of becoming an educator, sports, or I don't know, anything that comes to my mind that I feel like some people might want to watch, or even nobody watching at all. So I really appreciate you guys watching, and I would love feedback, and I hope this is a real help to you as your journey to become a better horn player or a better educator.